Like many of you, I'm a dog person. I love playing with them, I love giving them pets and cuddles, snuggling with them to my heart's content. However, this wasn't the view held by most of the people during the time of the Bible. In fact, in the entire Bible, there are 0 positive references throughout the whole book to dogs. They really didn't like dogs, which makes sense considering at that time, most of them wouldn't have been kept as pets, but would have been strays, begging for food and being mangy and potentially disease-ridden. This negative perception of dogs makes it all the more confusing in today's story from the lectionary, where Jesus indirectly compares a woman to a dog. Why would Jesus do this? And what does it mean for our lives today? Well, I think there are 2 key elements that can help us interpret this story for us today. The first element is the reaction of the disciples. In the beginning of the story, when this woman first asked Jesus to heal her daughter from the possession, Jesus, it says, is silent. And the disciples ask Jesus to leave. They kind of say, hey, let's ignore this woman. Let's move on with our lives. This is this initial silence that Jesus seems to be testing the disciples and testing us. What is our reaction to this woman who is not like us, who is from another country, asking for God's salvation? And that salvation is the second element that helps us interpret this story, I think. When you compare this story to other stories of Jesus casting out demons in the New Testament, one key element is consistent throughout. These demons are seen almost as an oppressive force that is controlling and dominating the lives of the people that are possessed. We might compare this oppression to the way that forces beyond our material, physical understanding oppress people across the world today. Things like oppression based off of race, gender, sexuality, or class control our lives and limit our ability to be free, even though they're not physical things that we can touch with our hands. And when Jesus casts out demons, he's freeing these people. He's liberating them the same way that you might say somebody that was enslaved can be liberated to live a full human life. When Jesus agrees at the end of the story to cast out the demon in this woman's daughter, he is validating her as somebody that was not from the nation of Israel. The people at that time, Jesus' disciples, apparently thought that Jesus came only to free them from the boot of Roman imperialism and oppression. This would have been a common view at the time, especially when the New Testament was being written, either right before, during, or after Rome came and destroyed the Second Temple. This was the peak of their powers. This was the peak of their oppression to the Jewish people. And the disciples probably thought that Jesus came to free them from that oppressive boot. But Jesus is saying that he came for something much bigger than that. He came for the liberation of all people, or like Paul says, to bring out the kingdom of heaven where there is no Jew or Gentile, there is no Greek or Hebrew, there is no male or female, there are just children of God. What are the forces in your life maybe, or in the lives of those around you, that oppress us and keep us down? And how can we, like Jesus, cast out those demons of oppression based off of physical factors, where you were born, how much money you have? How can we live into the free kingdom of God? People free to serve and glorify him. And what are the ways that our own actions, the action of those around us, or the forces of oppression impact those lives?